Welcome back to Ditch the Guilt. I'm Beth Genly, your host, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Heather DeVore, who has been with me before on other podcasts, and I invited her back because she's so awesome. Heather DeVore is a therapist and transformational life coach. She bases her work primarily on the belief that we are all whole, complete, and truly worthy right now, which, that's something that I struggle with, and I bet a lot of us do, and I do believe it's true.
Yes.
She helps guide her clients through the shame and limiting beliefs that block them from believing this to be true about themselves. So welcome to this podcast, Heather. I'm really glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you, Beth. I'm really excited to be back and hang out with you for a little while.
Great. So what I wanted to talk to you about particularly is I know that you follow Brené Brown's differentiation between shame and guilt. And
Yes.
This event is all about guilt, but I've personally found that differentiation really helpful. And I wonder if you could talk about it some and kind of guide us through it. What is the difference between shame and guilt in your viewpoint?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily mine, but it's what I've learned from Brené. So I want to make sure I give her credit for the idea. But it's this idea that, she whittles it all the way down to guilt is I did something bad, and I don't like bad. So I like to say I did something wrong. And shame is I am wrong or bad. And the difference being that when we can separate our behavior from who we are, the outcome of the result would be different in what we do with that. And so I was thinking about a little example, and I was thinking if you and I set a lunch date and you're sitting in the restaurant and I didn't show up, something happened, I forgot. So I get a little text from you that says, "Hey, Heather, I'm waiting for you." And I'm like, normal response for most people, we go, "Oh gosh," and we kind of, if we have the strength or the muscles in our brain to go, okay, guilt versus shame. So if I went to total shame place in that moment, I would see your text, and there's a number of things I would do because I'm now really awful and bad, and I would maybe ignore it, go hide. I could maybe text you back and be like, "What do you mean that we had a date today? You messed that. The date's on Friday," or and I could kind of push back at you, and all of that would be some version in my head of like, I am bad, like I am so awful, I'm so stupid, I'm these things. We start like flagellating ourselves, and just beating ourselves up. And the likelihood of me wanting to come towards you to correct that experience and maybe repair it is very small, because I am so awful. I'm going to go crawl in a hole, and I could maybe choose never to talk to you again. But if I was to come at it from guilt, it comes up against our values. And so my value is that if I make an appointment with someone, or if I make a date with someone, it's important for me. And that really is actually value. If I set a scheduling date with someone, it means a lot to me that I show up. But if I come out, it's like, oh, I messed that up. I made a mistake, because let's clear that up right now. We all make mistakes. It's human. And if I come at it from guilt, I'm going to go, "Ooh, that's not how I want to be. That's not who I want to be." And I'd probably call you right up and go, "Beth, I'm so sorry. How can I fix this? What can I do? Do we still have time? Can we reschedule?" And I would come at you, and I'd come towards you to repair versus running away and hiding. And that's why she says guilt is she calls it adaptive and helpful, because we're more likely to repair and correct the mistake versus go hide in our corner and go to bed and put the covers over our head. So that's how she, and like I said, I am bad versus I did something bad.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of ways I want to pursue this.
Yeah. Let's
start with building that muscle, because I think that's a really great analogy and a really great way to think about it is if I go to that shame place when I make a mistake, what are the questions I need to ask myself to build the
The muscle.
The muscle of how can I repair this? How can I connect? How can I be
Yeah.
a good person in this situation after I blew it?
Yeah. Well, there's like I've messed up calendaring things, especially like I'll have clients and I'll walk out to my lobby and there'll be two standing there and I'm like, and so there's an initial like wave. I think we can all, if we really pinpoint it down, like we know what it feels like when we go into shame. Like it's a full body, like, ugh. And in that moment, I don't know, I think there's just a training yourself in the language that you use. It's like to be able to go, wow, okay, I made a mistake. And if we can't get to like that, the resiliency around shame is if we go hide in the dark, it's going to grow. So if I'm really stuck in it, step one is to find a friend, phone a friend, who knows about shame, who knows, and we'll be like, hey, Heather, it's okay. We all make mistakes. What do you want to do about it? And start to help pull it out. I'm sort of thinking of like, it's really separating the event or the activity from who we are. Trying to think of, I don't know, more specific ways in muscle building. There's a lot of self-talk, and like making yourself stop, like, so that's, and listening to your body is a great way to go, oh, wow, here I go. I'm about to do that because my stomach's all nauseous. I feel it. And it's like, ugh. And to let that be a little like alarm bell. Oh, right now I could easily go over here and dip into shame. Let me just pause and go, whew, breathe for a second. Maybe, have a little compassion for yourself for a second. Go, oh, wow, I messed that up. That hurts. That feels bad. That doesn't feel good. Because then we can bring it back down and it's like, oh, there's my feet. My feet are on the ground. Here I am. Now what do I want to do? So it's kind of where I start with it. It's just like a pause.
I want to highlight that because I see that a lot with people that I work with is that, and I saw it a lot in my own life when I got overstressed, is it took a really big brick to get my attention.
Yes.
And when I started paying attention to the earlier warning signs, which always means paying attention to my body, that knot in my throat, that knot in my stomach, that general feeling of exhaustion, and I don't even want to, God, this is terrible, right? When I start paying attention to that, then I have a chance to say, all right, the problem is right here, right now, and it's not who I am, it's what just happened, right? And that's a whole,
you just
first
did
exercise is, what are the warning signs here? And my body is giving me valuable information.
Our body is the best resource we have. And when you get more and more in tune with it, it tells you what you need to know. And it's trusting it and believing it and going, oh, that gut feeling I have right now is telling me something. And even if we don't know what it's telling you, it's just a willingness to go, oh, something's happening. It's trying to tell me something. Let me be curious. And the way you just described that is then you went into the thought piece. You started going, no, wait, hold on a second. And you started to switch your thoughts as you were just explaining that. And I think once we can pause, we have to then go, okay, hold on. What's going on? It's okay. I'm human. We all make mistakes. And then the little voice might be like, yeah, but you made a bigger mistake. You did it. And it's like, no, shh, I don't need, no. And just kind of, and just breathing. And that's, the other piece with, how Renee teaches all this stuff is like the connection with Kristen Neff and all the self-compassion. And that it starts with a deep breath, curiosity, and self-compassion. Because that's the only way to not go down the bad dark place of shame. And but our bodies, they're just like, if we can see it as a, like, I now have like, I hear a little bell. It's like, oh, ding, ding, like, stop. And if we could just stop moving for a second and not react, That to me, I think if we could all do that, man, the world would be just a beautiful, peaceful place.
All right then. Well, we've solved that.
I've solved world peace. If we could just all stop, breathe, and be curious. World peace.
I love that. I love that. All right. So I want to take this a step deeper into an area that I see a lot of us get into stress.
Yes.
It's kind of a big idea, but it goes right to that same feeling, I think. And that is, their problems are more important than mine. I must be selfless. I must give to them because that's how I stay in integrity with myself, is by giving. And if I stop and say, nope, done now, no more for today, no more for this week, no more for this year, whatever the line is that I'm drawing, I'm being selfish and not solving the problems of the world. And I want to solve them. And so I feel really guilty. I feel terrible that I want to say, get out of my face.
Yeah. And I would actually encourage you to shift the wording, because what you're feeling, I think, is more shame. Because and what's going to happen when we go there is we're going to beat ourselves up. We're not going to do any of the things we want to do. So here you are shaming yourself for being selfish, which will likely lead to you crawling into a hole and doing nothing. Both outcomes equaling you're not saving the world, because you've now just gone and hid in your bedroom. And so, oh gosh, if we could again, I'm going to name a few things of how we're going to save the world together today, Beth. It's also, if we could reframe selfish and not shame ourselves. We're like a car. We need gas in the tank.
Okay, somehow I have your voice just went up several octaves, oh my God. and I think it makes us freak out a little bit when we hear our friends go there, because
I know.
Yes. Yeah. And I wonder if there's there's almost part of me that wants to go, no, I'm right. When I hear you,
I know. Well, and so to use you as an example in this moment, it's, if we were going to think about this, I hear the shame. It's this, I'm so bad and so I'm wrong that I can't just keep giving. And so, and where I would encourage you to go would be okay, what is that? What's the stories I'm making up about myself? So if I stop giving, you said selfish, but maybe even digging deeper is okay, if I'm selfish, then what would that mean? Is it that people go away, people abandon me, people don't like me anymore? Keep digging at where that story goes. And then you get to go, okay, is that really true? So if I said, hey, can we reschedule our lunch date for next week? And you look at your calendar and you've got 18 things happening on that one day. And your initial instinct is, well, let me squeeze you in. And, instead of saying, you'd be well, no, actually my day is full. Is it a fear that I would never call you again? I would never want to be your friend again? And then you get to stop and go, okay, is that really true? Am I really going to doubt my connection with this person because of one lunch date? Is all of my worth, it comes down to that of is all of my worth based on me showing up when I have nothing left to give? No.
Okay, so now I want to circle back to the call a friend piece.
Yeah.
Because I have been in places where the answer to that question would have been yes. All of my worth is hung on the fact that I can't get it together to keep my schedule straight. And what a horrible person I must be if I can't keep my schedule straight, right?
Yeah.
So then I need an outside perspective.
Yes.
I need to call you or somebody and say, whoa.
Yeah.
Am I really that bad?
Yes. And it's important that it's someone that won't join you and go, you probably should figure out how to clean that schedule up because, no. You need someone who's going to be Beth, Really? All of your worth is dependent on your schedule being perfect and filled to the max? And help remind you that you are whole and worthy no matter what. Like, I have this image of always like this golden glowing rock. Like, and I always do this when I start talking about worth, catch myself all the time, because it's like, that is in you. It is part of you, no matter what. Because that's what shame does. Shame starts to butt up against our worthiness. So if I don't keep my schedule maxed out, run myself ragged, burn myself out, shame starts to tell you, you're not doing it. You're not up to par. You're not that worthy. And it starts to get into people are going to run away. People are going to leave you. You're going to be whatever your story is. We all have our kind of our own shame stories. And it's just like, I just want to like punch the shame in the face.
Well, I don't know. So I'm thinking about another client. Client scenario that I dealt with a while back. It was a teacher, and what she was saying is, my students in my classroom have so many basic needs, that there's a lot of days I can't even get to the content I want to teach, and I feel like I'm failing them, and I feel like I'm not a good enough teacher. I'm not worthy, and so I have some things I said to her, but which were about what those kids need more than anything is for you to be in their corner, whatever it is they're learning.
Yes.
And for you to have you see yourself as a whole person will be of more value to them than anything else you could do.
Absolutely. Yeah. It models it for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally get that. I mean, I spent 3 years in community mental health, and it's like I'm supposed to do therapy with people who have $400 a month to feed a family of 5, single mom and her 3-4 kids, having to feed themselves and pay rent and do all this. It's like, what kind of therapy are we really going to do? This is about survival. And I can remember a supervisor saying to me, because you get so like, how, like, I'm not doing anything. I'm being ineffective. I can't. And she said to me, Heather, they've been here for a lot longer. You just entered the picture. They've been surviving this for a lot longer. And there was something about that gave me some permission and freedom to just be with them here and do what I could. And to let go of like that I am going to be able to change, like this teacher being able to change every single one of her students, reality. She can't. But she can be someone who consistently shows up. She can be someone who models worthiness and capabilities and love and unconditional. So it's looking at, okay, what can we do? Because when we go into shame, we end up not doing anything. We just get so stuck, and it's like we miss the opportunity. When we think we're supposed to do it all, I would imagine many of your viewers are do-it-all people. I can do it all. No, we can't. No, we can't. And I think even Michelle Obama said it in her book tour. It's BS. I think she got in trouble for swearing to say, that we, women are expected to be able to, I just read this quote this morning, not hers, but it was like, we're expected to work like we don't have families and have families like we don't work. So I think of that teacher and go, God, okay, what is the impact I can have with these kids versus how do I save the world and save every element of their life? Because then you miss the boat,
Mm-hmm.
And so if she gets in this place of my worthiness, see, here's the worthiness piece. If our worthiness is dependent on those children having stable housing, stable food, stable family, all those things, it goes away with that. It's never going to happen. If our worthiness is that I can work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, serve everybody's needs, we're going to burn out. And then our worthiness goes out the door with everybody else. And so one of the most profound things someone said to me around this was, what if you stopped walking in the room and putting your worthiness on the table as though it was negotiable?
Whoa. Okay, say that again.
Yeah, I know. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. What if you stop walking in the room or walking in the classroom or walking into the meeting or walking into a session with a client and put your stop putting your worthiness on the table as though it was this negotiable thing? I was just like, wait, what? That's an option? I don't have to do that? And it was like, oh, well, then I could show up. I could share my opinion. I could have boundaries. I could
disagree.
Absolutely. I could have a difference of opinion with you, so if you just I hold that question a lot in my head. It's like, oh, because it's not that shame disappears. Shame resiliency isn't, I never experienced shame. Shame resiliency is shame comes up and I know how to negotiate with it and I know how to take care of myself. And so it's like, oh, there it is. That came up a little bit. Now what am I going to do? Oh, what if my worthiness wasn't an issue right now? What if it wasn't on the table? That's where I get that, like, here's the solid, it's in there. It's right there. It doesn't move. For me, it's right there. And so again, our body piece is like, where in your body does your worthiness land? So that when you're feeling some of the shame, sometimes I do this a lot. I'm just like, oh, okay, hold on a second. Just slow down. And there's science around that of like your brain, your heart rate, your brain, everything just coming back to like, because where can we make more informed choices? From right here with our feet on the ground, spinning up here, we don't make good choices.
I love that. The idea of making more informed choices requires you to be in tune with your body and your emotions as well as your brain.
Absolutely.
And that to me was one of the big revelations of my life, is that my body and my emotions are providing really important information about my values and my worthiness or my sense of not worthiness and my limits. Yes.
We are human. We have limits. We're not machines. And and to not take care of yourselves in this hard work that all your people are doing, we're not going to be able to do the hard work. And then the world doesn't get to have you. The world misses out on you when you burn out.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And
so it's kind of like you're doing the world a service when you stop and have boundaries and take care of yourself. So a teacher, enjoying her summer vacation instead of working a second job to pay for food for her kids, that would help her kids more than her finding more food for them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's taking a vacation day from your work, stepping back and saying no sometimes. Boundaries.
Okay, so I understand that you actually have some more information about boundaries to share.
I know, that just came all out. This was such a fun little conversation. We went all over the place. I do. I taught a webinar on boundaries because I think boundaries and our shame, our worthiness, guilt bump up each other all the time. I think.
Don't they just?
Oh my gosh, when we get stuck in shame, we don't set good boundaries. And so I think it's maybe about 45 minutes. It's not long, but it's just some tools on how to set some healthy boundaries with colleagues, friends, family. Our loved ones are our hardest people to set boundaries with most often. But so I will, that's a free gift for you guys.
That is wonderful, Heather. I want to circle back around and kind of go back to our main idea, or the idea that we started with, which is the difference between shame and guilt. And I would love it if you would go over that again, because I think that in itself is such a powerful tool. It's worth reiterating. So please go there.
Okay. So shame is I am bad or wrong. So it's all about me. It's all about my wrongness. Guilt is I did something wrong. And there's there's just this little bit of room between me and the thing. Our example being I didn't show up for the lunch date. So there's a little bit of room to go. And here in guilt, I will have a much different response to what I do to prepare that with you than if I am this horrible bad person. And so guilt is, as again she says, it's an adaptive behavior. We will respond and correct because my value is that you're important to me. Maintaining my agreements is important to me. And so I'm going to fix that. I'm going to repair that. Shame, if I'm so awful, what is there to fix? Nothing. So I might be so full of shame that I can't even let myself see you again. So I might just blow off the friendship. And where does that get anybody? So,
yes.
So, I mean, the most basic way she says it is guilt is I did something bad. Shame is I am bad. And her research shows the outcomes of that type of thinking are so dramatically different that, and most of the time, and once it gets a little annoying, once you really get to know that and you hear guilt, the word I feel so guilty, I'm like, awesome, you feel guilty? What are you going to do about that? But people are more often than not talking about shame. So, but if you can differentiate that a little bit, it's not that there's a similar physical response, like me getting that text from you going, where are you? I'd have oh man, I messed up. But to have that muscle of like, okay, wait, hold on, take a deep breath. Okay, I messed up. I did. I just did. We all do. We're human. Now what do I want to do about it? And so guilt will much more likely get me to do something healthy and corrective than shame is going to put me in bed under the covers. So.
Okay, so it occurs to me that the way to ditch the guilt in this formulation is to do something about it, to repair the error rather than feel bad about our incapacity.
Yes. Yeah. To ditch the guilt by naming it as shame and then repairing, and fix it. Yeah. So to go, oh, wait, guilt, maybe I'll do something positive with this. Yeah, like I said, woo, yeah, you're feeling guilty. Great. What are you going to do?
That's beautiful, Heather. Yeah. Well, all right, thank you. This has been
welcome.
A fun conversation. I love reconnecting with you, and I look forward to the comments from our viewers.
Yes, and I'm excited about that. And for your viewers, if you got some burnt out, tired, helping professionals, what do helping professionals need in terms of taking care of themselves? 15 days in Bali.
Oh, okay. Yes. Don't we just?
And so I just so happened to be leading a retreat in September of 2019 in Bali for people just wanting to it's restore, reignite, and envision. So it's restoring yourself. It's reigniting your passions for what really matter to you and envisioning the future, what the next steps that you're wanting for yourself. So all of that's on my website, which is my name, Heather DeVore. Yes, 15 days in Bali. Come join me.
We'll make sure that link is in your information as well.
Yeah.
Too. All right.
Yes. Okay.
Well, really
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.